Hey guys, time for another video. 5 more Hall of Famers. Gonna start out with Mr. Haines here, or Jesse Haines. This 1927 W560, nicknamed Pop. Had a really long career in the minor leagues. As a pitcher in the minor leagues, he was 107 and 61 with a 1.93 ERA. So I thought that was worth mentioning, to his stats. Had a 32.6 WAR, ranked in 773rd all time, ahead of Rube Marquard. 3-time World Series, 3.64 majors ERA, 981 strikeouts, 210 wins, 11 saves, 209 complete games, 23 shutouts. Born in Clayton, Ohio. He wanted to play when he was young for a team in nearby Phillipsburg, but his parents wouldn't let him play on Sundays. So he hid his uniform in a corn crib nearby and would sneak off to go play on Sunday for this team in Phillipsburg. So, Jesse Haines. Next, Mr. Mike Schmidt here. Lifetime 106.8 WAR, ranks him 25th all time, ahead of players like Albert Pujols, Carl Yastrzemski, and Roberto Clemente. 3-time MVP, 1980 World Series winner, World Series MVP, 6-time Silver Slugger, 10-time Gold Glove, 12-time All-Star, 1,506 RBIs, 2,234 hits, 548 home runs, and a 267 batting average. One of only 3 players with 10 Gold Gloves, 500 home runs. And that's Willie Mays and Ken Griffey Jr. Sporting News named him the Player of the Decade for the 80s. Considered one of the best third basemen of all time. And BaseballReference.com ranks his mustache 6th all time, which I would have to agree. Mike Schmidt. Next up in this 1958 tops, Mr. Jim Bunning. Lifetime 59.5 WAR, 193rd all time, ahead of pitchers like Enos Slaughter and Rube Waddell. 9-time All-Star, 224 wins, 327 ERA, 2,855 strikeouts. He was also a congressman in Kentucky. Had 9 kids. Had a perfect game in 1963, and that was the first National League player to do so since 1880. One of only 7 pitchers with a perfect game and a no-hitter. Randy Johnson, Sandy Koufax, Addie Joss, Cy Young, Mark Burley, and Roy Halladay. The first pitcher with a no-hitter, 100 wins, and 1,000 strikeouts in each league. Mr. Jim Bunning. Next, a Canadian stud, Mr. Larry Walker here, with a 72.7 WAR, ranks him 90th all the time, ahead of Derek Jeter, Frankie Frisch, and Johnny Mize. 1997 MVP, 5-time All-Star, 7-time Gold Glove, 3-time Silver Slugger, 3-time batting title, 313 career batting average, 383 home runs, 230 stolen bases, 2,160 hits, 1,311 RBIs. The only player to have 700 slugging and 30 stolen bases in the same season. His .565 career slugging ranks him 12th all time. His WAR among all-time right fielders, 10th. Him and Ferguson Jenkins are often thrown into the discussion of the greatest Canadian player of all time. He bowled a 300 in 2014, and he was kind of superstitious when it come to the number 3. He wore number 33. He was married November 3rd at 3:33 p.m. He would take his practice swings in multiples of 3. And come to find out, he ended up being the 333rd player elected into the Hall of Fame. Larry Walker. Next, but in no way not, he's last but not least, Mr. Wade Boggs here. 91.4 WAR, ranks him 43rd all time. Ahead of players like George Brett, Pete Rose, and Ken Griffey Jr. 12 straight All-Stars, 2 Gold Gloves, 5 batting titles, 96 World Series, 8 Silver Sluggers, 3,010 hits, 328 batting average, 118 home runs, 1,014 RBIs. As most of these guys, was a pretty good athlete in all sports in high school. He got a scholarship offer from the University of South Carolina as a left-footed place kicker. Played in the longest game in history, baseball game, with Cal Ripken Jr. 1981. The Pawtucket Red Sox against the Rochester Red Wings went 33 innings, 8 hours and 25 minutes over 2 days, April 18th and April 19th. At one point in 1986, June 8th to be exact, if you went back 162 games from that day in June, he hit over 400. Or hit 400, 254 hits in 635 plate appearances. He was superstitious. He ate chicken before every game. He woke up at 7:17 every morning. He once asked Sherm Feller, which was a Fenway Park public address announcer, not to say his uniform number one time because he was in a slump, and Sherm forgot to say his number that night for whatever reason, and he broke out of a slump. So he asked him not to say his uniform number anymore. He kind of had not a controversy, but it kind of caused, it was said that he caused a rule change in the Hall of Fame. It was rumored that the Tampa Bay Devil Rays gave him a financial stipend or a bonus or a check, was going to pay him to go into the Hall of Fame wearing a Devil Rays hat. So they changed the rules to where I think the Hall of Fame just decides now. He says he wasn't paid to do it, but it was rumored that he was going to go in there and the Devil Rays was going to pay him to do it. So that's it on him. I do got 2 bonus cards here I'll show off. Players I've already mentioned. Here's this 1984 Topps Rickey Henderson. Ain't that a clean card? Thinking about doing the Rickey Henderson Topps run one of these days. So every time I see one I don't have, I'm going to start with 80 and go all the way to whatever his end of his career was. I can't remember the date, but I'm thinking about doing that in graded cards. I think that'll be a neat set to have. So every time I see one, I pick it up. Here's the 84. And then I bought this one the other day. It's 1964 Bob Gibson. One of the all-time greats. That's it, guys. Thanks.